This week, we welcome Sara Griffith, Chief Information Security Officer at Euronet Worldwide, and Suresh Balasubramanian, Chief Marketing Officer at Qualys, to discuss reinvigorating cybersecurity teams. In the Leadership and Communications section, the first 100 days in a CISO's life, biggest mistakes and best quick wins. Hybrid work woes, FOMO is real, employees feel disconnected, breaking down cybersecurity's hiring problem, and more. Business Security Weekly starts now.
This is Security Weekly, for security professionals, by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where we explore the business of security to improve the security of business. Your trusted source for actionable insights on leadership, communication, and innovation. Get ready for Business Security Weekly. Cyber risk and compliance automation is finally here. Legacy GRC systems cannot support the powerful, real-time automation and oversight that organizations require to take risks that matter to succeed. CyberSync continuous control automation ingests data from the IT GRC stack to update controls against regulatory requirements and risks in real time, delivering insights and visibility. See how members of the Fortune 500 are saving millions annually by visiting securityweekly.com/cybersync. Cybersecurity is about more than just technology. It's about how people behave with emails, data, and cloud applications that directly impacts your company's security posture. Security works best when it's ingrained in the culture of your organization. To learn how to build a security culture and transform your employees from targets into a strong line of defense, head to securityweekly.com/proofpoint and visit their Cybersecurity Awareness Center. We're proud to announce CISO Stories, a new podcast series in partnership with Cybersecurity Collaborative and Cyber Reason. CISO Stories features the candid perspectives and experiences of frontline senior security executives and dives deep into timely security topics. CISO Stories is hosted by Todd Fitzgerald, VP of Cybersecurity Strategy at Cybersecurity Collaborative, and Sam Curry, Chief Product and Security Officer at Cyber Reason. Listen weekly as they speak with extraordinary CISOs by visiting securityweekly.com/CSP.
Welcome to Business Security Weekly. This is episode number 239, recorded November 8th, 2021. I am your host, Matt Alderman, here in sunny Colorado. Joining me are my co-hosts, joining remotely. First, Mr. Jason Albuquerque.
Welcome. Hey, Matt. Happy Monday. Hey, it's a good Monday. The Patriots won. You got a couple of good wins yesterday. I got to spend my Sunday at Gillette Stadium watching the Revolution get the supporter shield for the best record in the MLS, so it's a good Monday. I can't complain.
Better than Mr. Ben Carr's because my Broncos ended up beating his Cowboys this weekend.
That's right.
Well, you can't win them all, right? Still a beautiful day here in Texas, lovely fall weather, and I'm excited because a new season of Yellowstone, so that was a good event for me yesterday.
Wonderful. Security Weekly Unlocked will be held in person this December 5th through 7th at the Hilton Lake Buena Vista. Keynotes from Melissa Miller, John Strand, Leslie Carhart, and Dave Kennedy. Visit securityweekly.com/unlocked to register and check out our rockstar lineup. Register for free. Join us. Also, join us for our next live webcast on November 11th to learn the key insights and takeaways from the 2021 OWASP Top 10. Visit securityweekly.com/webcast to save your seat. Don't forget to check out our library of on-demand webcasts and technical trainings at securityweekly.com/on-demand. This segment is sponsored by Qualys. To learn more, please visit securityweekly.com/Qualys. Sara Griffith is the Chief Information Security Officer for Euronet Worldwide, a public financial services company that is an industry leader in processing secure electronic transactions and payments for financial institutions, service providers, and individual customers all over the globe. Euronet has 9,000 employees in 66 offices worldwide, including 41 countries across Europe, Asia, Pacific, North America, the Middle East, South America, and Africa. Sara has been fortunate to work on site in 29 of those countries during her 16 years at Euronet and now resides in Denver. As Chief Marketing Officer, Suresh is responsible for driving the Qualys go-to-market strategy, balancing the demands for building awareness, thought leadership, and category creation with qualified pipeline generation to drive business growth. His career includes more than 25 years of security industry experience, including global marketing roles at Adobe, driving successful turnarounds at well-known brands like the Myers-Briggs Company, and category creation at early-stage venture-funded security companies. Sara and Suresh, welcome to Business Security Weekly.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
We're going to talk about reinvigorating the cybersecurity workforce. And we're going to talk a little bit first. I'm going to start with Sara. You're a CISO at a multinational organization with offices all over the place. So prior to COVID, it was probably kind of difficult for the whole team to get together. It's probably been even harder since. So talk a little bit about some of the struggles your team kind of experiences in this kind of remote, very highly distributed work environment.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked remotely for a while since I moved to Denver, but we are an international company all over the world. My team is distributed all over the world. So luckily, we were definitely prepared for COVID. We were used to working remote, but I think like you said, we used to get together, in person, had annual kind of strategic planning meetings, got to see the team, sometimes would meet at conferences or leadership meetings. And that's been hard for 2 years almost now. We haven't been able to meet in person, or, I used to travel to some of our offices or corporate office and see some of the team members. And that's been a little bit of a challenge, but I would say, luckily we're used to connecting. We had video conferencing and Teams and everything way prior to COVID. So luckily we were ready for that. But it is, it's always nice to be able to see each other in person and be able to connect, and not just with, the business side, but with your peers and even vendors for that. I think we all know this in this pandemic, it's been really hard to get to see each other in person. And it's a struggle for some team members, of course, but hopefully we're moving in the right direction and getting back to that now.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, I've worked remotely since 2009 when I went to work for Qualys back then. And, I used to travel a lot. It's weird now because I don't have the same travel schedule. I used to go into studio once a month and be with the local team. It's tough when you're always at home in this beautiful little surrounding, right? But it is challenging to keep people motivated and prevent them from getting burnout, I think, in this environment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I have a lot of peers I network with in the CISO community, even here in Denver, other locations. And I know they've had a hard time just invigorating their team when people are used to collaborating in the office or seeing each other, being in, to talk around the water cooler about what's going on in the business, or, within some struggles or projects you're working on. So I think it's just keeping up the motivation, checking in with people often. I do, as much as people are sick of Zoom calls or Teams or video, it's good to see each other in person, and just try to keep the teams motivated by letting them know, we're all struggling with the same, that we've all been through the same, I guess, pandemic in the last year and a half. But I do feel like, we check in a lot. We have lots of regular meetings, lots of communication with our executive and business leaders. And that really helps to just keep the team motivated, understand what's going on. But I think, if you aren't connecting as often, it does make, it makes it hard to reinvigorate your team or, driving towards a common goal. So I think it's important to have that good open communication to, not allow burnout, but also check in with everyone and make sure everyone's doing okay. And like I said, we have started opening offices, and we have flexibility in being in the office some and still working remote. So I think that's giving employees the flexibility to come back in and, meet with people face to face, but also if they don't feel comfortable, they can, be at home still right now. So we're trying not to, trying to just keep tabs on everyone and make sure there isn't burnout. But I know there were some times in the early part of the pandemic, it was pretty stressful, I'm sure, for all teams globally, just making sure your employees could work from home safely and securely and feel comfortable.
Yeah, so I'm interested just in the context of, you mentioned burnout, and that's something I've definitely seen. I think even for people who, myself, I'm used to working from home or working remotely. And so in that context, like I found, myself and our teams were working actually more, right, in the context of, everybody being remote. And so that was kind of stressing people and adding to this, I guess, burnout feeling. And I'm wondering if, how you handled that, how you addressed it. And then additionally, I think, I've also seen that this whole concept of onboarding people, right, in the context of, you're never seeing anybody face to face. And so trying to get corporate culture across and get people up to speed with the rest of the team. Like, are you seeing that as well? And are there any additional like surprises or takeaways you've had and, potential successes you've seen as a result of, how you've responded to kind of this change in way of working?
Yeah, I mean, we onboarded a few people during the pandemic, and that's very strange when you can't meet face to face, especially when they're a new hire. So I think, again, like, we have pretty regular, whether they're weekly or monthly calls with our teams, or at least our leadership of the security team, to check in with each other. Make sure we're communicating pretty frequently through Teams channels and other means, whether it's email, regular meetings. But yeah, I don't. Again, because we were global and we worked, a lot of us work remotely. Yes, people miss that office environment, but I feel like luckily we were already kind of had a rhythm of having regular meetings, even if we were dispersed throughout the globe, to check in with each other, talk about what's going on, and our projects we're working on. And I do think, I agree. I've worked from home now for 9 years, and it was a very hard transition the first 6 months. And you do work longer hours. You're available more, and people expect you to be available more. And it can, I think you just have to, give people let them know that when they're at home and, it's the evening, they should check out and be with their family or attend to whatever, personal needs they have to try not to expect everyone that they're just available 24/7 because you're working from home. I think you just have to be cognizant of that, and just have good communication with your teams and set up regular check-ins and meetings with them. But we didn't run into any major issues, I'd say. But yeah, a lot of people were very stressed out and burned out. And when you're on Zoom calls all the time, you get a little fatigued with video calls. So you just have to be careful with that and everyone's time as well.
So Sarah, I'm interested to hear, how are you building the relationships outside of work, right? So in many instances, I would fly out to a satellite office, and part of building the relationship was going out to dinner with the folks, yeah, right? Or having lunch with folks. And that's one place where, my organization is really trying to innovate how we're interacting outside of work to be able to build those stronger personal relationships and really that foundation of trust. So we're having dinner together sometimes. We're creating situations where, we're having like a no meetings Monday, and we'll say, listen, leadership is not going to put a meeting on your calendar. You're going to focus on getting some things done, getting some action items complete, and maybe a little bit on your own personal growth and innovation. So we're really trying to think outside of the box, because we're not in a position now where we can kind of do those outside of work activities like we used to, or fly out and take an entire team out to dinner. It's slowly starting to come back, but we're not there yet. And we still have people who aren't comfortable. So what are some of those out of work activities and maybe, innovative ways to build those personal relationships? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a difference whether it's internal relationships with your team or employees from your company versus vendors. I would say, I think all of like a lot of vendors did a lot of, Zoom type calls with, whether it was a bourbon tasting or some kind of educational thing to connect with customers or either existing or potential customers, and got creative. I can say, like, I've started meeting in person now with some vendors, as we feel comfortable. Some are saying, can we have lunch or maybe meet for coffee or be outside? And, as long as they're comfortable and I'm comfortable, we've started that. I've seen that a little more again. I think there were some creative things that happened during COVID too. I know even in the Denver area, there was a group that, we used to get together regularly, a networking group with both vendors and CISOs in the community. And, they were saying, let's do a workout class, socially distanced, or, in the mornings before work even starts. And I think a lot of people just had to be creative, like how to connect. But I 100% agree with you. Anything face-to-face and building that relationship and trust is so important. And I would prefer, having those relationships and seeing someone face-to-face and, like you said, getting to know them and getting to trust them and see them outside of a Zoom call or Teams call is preferable. And I think we're heading back that direction now. It was hard, though, even not being able to get together with your team for 2 years or so, or not traveling. I used to travel a ton. with this company, and even internationally, and seeing the leadership. So I think just, and also our business leadership has also tried to do a lot more communication, whether it's video communication, email communication, just keep everyone feel like we're still a cohesive team. But I think you just have to get creative. If people aren't comfortable, being face to face, maybe they can meet outside or try to meet somewhere where they feel, I guess, still socially distanced and get together. But I think my team and others I know internally are starting to get back into that if they can, if they feel comfortable. And I think that's the direction, like I said, I hope we're going back to now.
Let's hope so. As we see some of these events starting to come back to physical, what does that look like for your team? Like, are they excited to go back? Are they still cautious? I'm curious, because I know as community members, I can't wait to get back and see all of my peers and all my friends in the industry. Does your employees see that the same way?
Yeah, there hasn't been as many asking to, are scheduling out, maybe trainings right now or certain conferences. But of course, if anybody is coming to me or would come to me and say, I want to, attend this conference, or I want to attend this training, or I feel comfortable, I honestly would leave it up to them. I would never push someone to do it, but I'm very encouraging. If they're comfortable and ready, yes, I think it's the best way to build relationships, to get to know whether it's a vendor or maybe other peers in the community that you want to network with and learn about their experiences, maybe in a project we're working on. But I highly encourage it. I personally went back to Black Hat just in August, and it was interesting. I knew some other peers, or both vendors and peers of mine, that were going or considering going, and some were hesitant or a little nervous. But I was glad to be there and reconnect for, since we couldn't really do that over the last year or so. And it's just the best way to really, I guess, focus on time when you're there in person, because I feel like when you're on a virtual event, even though a lot of vendors or conferences are allowing the virtual aspect, you actually get to be dedicated to, when you're there, you don't have all the distractions. So for me personally and my team, if anyone wants to go, I encourage them to, as long as they're comfortable and feel good about, the measures that the event is putting on, and they feel safe and secure. I highly encourage them to go. And I personally am starting to go back as well. And, I feel like we're seeing it. It's not the same turnout that it was, but I think people are starting to, come back, and I look forward to it. And I loved, even in August, getting to reconnect with a lot of my current vendors I work with and some potential ones, and just be able to have that dedicated time to focus. When you're in an office or on a virtual call, you have a lot of distractions or working from home. So I think it's good. If you can, I definitely would encourage it.
Yeah, and in retrospect, I'm super jealous that you went. I'm one of those who switched my ticket to virtual. I was actually going to go in person, and then everything started happening with the Delta variant. And I said, I chickened out and I stayed home. But you're absolutely right. I multitasked the entire time. So, you know what I mean? So I didn't put that same focus as I would have if I was going to sessions at Black Hat there physically.
Yeah. I think this is where Suresh comes in, because Qualys is bringing up their Qualys Security Conference. Sarah, you're going to speak at it, but I think this is an opportunity to get back in the community. I used to do the Qualys Security Conferences back when I worked there, so I know how important they are to re-engage and to engage with customers. Suresh, kind of talk to us a little bit about QASC and what people should expect going back to a physical conference again.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, Sarah. I think you hit on some very interesting points there, Sarah, which I think we're starting to see as well. Qualys, we're very fortunate to have amazing customers like yourselves and hundreds and thousands of customers that we've been putting on the Qualys Security Conference, or QASC, for this is going to be our 21st year. And last year, obviously, much like everybody else, we went online and we did it over a multiple number of days. And before that, in 2019, we had a good turnout in Las Vegas. But we also believe that it is really important, especially in the security industry. And I think the companies really enjoy, customers and practitioners and CISOs like yourself really enjoy coming together, as you mentioned, networking and learning from each other and hearing each other talk about their challenges, and then you're able to take something away and then back to your home office, et cetera, and then implement those things. So I think we really are fortunate that we're able to bring Qualys Security Conference, or QASC, to Las Vegas again this year. I'm really happy Sara is going to be speaking at the conference as well. And I think it's a great opportunity to get away from the home or the office, away from the Zoom screen, be all in 100% in the event, and you'll get a great opportunity to meet with others. We have roughly, in 2019, whatever the registration was for in-person, we're almost at 50% of that registration for 2021. So we're very encouraged by the fact that we feel like we're at the tail end of that COVID scenario. People are just starting to get comfortable, to your point, Sara, comfortable coming in a reasonably medium-sized gatherings, I would say. And I think, again, we're very encouraged by the amount of registrations. And this is a hybrid event, so people that are still not comfortable coming to the event in person in Las Vegas can register online and get benefit from that. But we have a ton of training sessions, product sessions, hear from CISOs like yourselves, others, in terms of how they are addressing the growing challenges, whether it's ransomware, whether it's automating certain aspects of security, and we also have an amazing keynote speaker, Chris Krebs, who's going to be speaking live in Las Vegas on stage. And he is always, is an amazing speaker in terms of what he brings to the table, his purview and point of view from, having been in the Department of Homeland Security. So, and again, I think we feel like having these kinds of conferences and starting to do them in person provides that much needed benefit, much needed relief, I think, for people that are looking for that change of scenario. And we're really happy to be able to do that. And I encourage everyone, there's still time to register. So if you go to qualys.com/QSC21, that'll take you to the registration page. You can always, and it's completely free, and you can register and take advantage of these sessions. So I'm really excited, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Suresh, when you see the interest back to in-person, right, about 50% of where you were at 2019 levels, are you also still seeing high virtual interest as well? So you're still going to get a bunch of people? I'm just curious how we've seen some drop off on virtual activities. That's why I'm asking. Do you still see a high demand for the virtual component as well, or more on the physical side?
Yeah, no, thank you. No, definitely. We're seeing almost close to 3,500 registrations on the virtual side, which is a pretty good number. Again, thinking about the fact that, in 2019, we didn't have that much of virtual registration, in person was there. So I think the strength is going to continue, and we may be entering a new normal here where people are going to be able to consume content offline or virtually. And then those that are able to travel and don't have any issues traveling are going to be able to benefit as well. I think a lot of the conference organizers, and we're also looking at it the same way, which is how do we plan for a hybrid environment moving forward? And I think that's going to be here to stay for a while. So I think there's benefit to both. We are getting quite a good representation of people that are signed up, because we're running the event live in Las Vegas for the US time zone. And then the virtual recorded sessions are run for Europe and APAC. And we're seeing quite a bit of registrations from those regions as well for people that are not quite able to travel to Vegas. So again, I think I see this as something happening of a new normal. So virtual is still continuing to register very strongly for our event.
Yeah, I think you're right, Suresh. Like, this is going to be, I think, my 5th event that I've been back in person, right? I was at Black Hat. I was with Cloud Security Alliance at Innovate. I was up at Avanta event last week. And so, both is kind of that interesting role of a participant in the event, but also, an attendee of these events. Like, I find that this new hybrid model really gives kind of a good opportunity and a positivity moving forward, where people who may have been constrained, if I think, put my CISO hat on, from a budgetary perspective, I can't have everybody traveling, but it gives the opportunity for people to participate, in those sessions or in the whole event if they have interest in it, where they can't travel. But for those other people like me who get a lot of value out of that face-to-face and the dialogue, and I think it was brought up earlier in the conversation, I think with Sara, is that human element, the relationship, is a lot of what we actually get out of this. I think it's not just, we went to an event and we happened to see a vendor and find out about new stuff, but it's those conversations we have with the people at those companies and the relationships we have with our partners, hopefully that bring us the most value. And so that's been my experience. And I'm really intrigued that you see this as kind of the new normal, because I think that does potentially offer a lot of benefits.
Yeah, I agree, Ben. I mean, from my perspective, I was gonna ask if it is gonna become the new normal, and if I would suggest that if you are a chief marketing officer that helps build conferences and really that strategy, keep that hybrid approach, because here's the thing: I now have the ability to send, if possible, my entire team to a conference, send some of them there to be there physically, and have some of them behind. And then when the folks get back, they can still have conversations around the sessions, right? And they can still strategize around what they learned. I don't have to pick and choose now. I don't have to, send, 3 or 4 people to a conference and then have them come back and do a training to my staff. Now I can have the budget to send as many as I can afford, whether it's virtually or physically there. And it just gives me more tools to get my folks educated. So,
and if you think about our verticals, Jason, like even in the CISO side of it, in our teams, like we have people that may only be interested in a session or two. And so it doesn't justify sending them to Vegas for 4 days, yet it certainly does justify letting them participate in the conference and get, added value, and again, extend those relationships and make those connections. Right. So I think that's great.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to touch on one thing Sara said earlier, which I think is super important, which is, I think she talked about trust, right? So I think one of the things that these in-person events are going to help us do, and to some extent on the hybrid as well, is when you meet people face to face, whether it's a vendor or a partner or even a peer, you start building a relationship that allows you to build trust. Because at the end of the day, when we all go back and we're in the thick of things and you're having to rely on somebody to get something done or a vendor to step up and the technology just has to work, etc., it's a huge difference when you've built that trust through these networking opportunities and these relationships at these conferences. And I think that goes a long way, right? And then the only other point I want to make is security, in a way, is a team sport, right? We all win if all companies do better, because at the end of the day, the defenses that we put up collectively are going to help us, as whether we're in a financial services or some other industry, companies that shore up their defenses help all of us in the long run. So the more people can come and learn what other companies have done and implement those in their organizations, I think the better all of us do as security practitioners, right? So I think it's even more important, I think, in this industry, for having these kinds of conferences and have opportunity for people to network, share best practices, and learn from each other. Because ultimately, when they go back and strengthen their defenses, we all benefit. So I feel particularly, excited at the fact that we get an option to do this in person. So, thank you, Sara.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. Like you said, I mean, I know, and I can probably speak for a lot of CISOs, there's, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of security vendors out there. And, some of the benefits I get, especially, is one, that just building that network, talking to other peers that are either using the product or have used it in the past or thinking of using it, and we can share kind of use cases. And I learn a lot sometimes too about, maybe I didn't even know we could do this with this feature, this product, and we should bring that back and look at it internally, or maybe we should consider this modular platform. And I think, any CISO could even say, like, you talk to a lot of your peers, like when you're evaluating vendors or evaluating solutions and what might work for you and what's worked for them. And, if you have the same kind of environment or not. And that's a huge benefit. And again, I think that face-to-face, though, for me personally, it is building those relationships. It's so critical. I know even with Qualys, when I met at Black Hat, I'm telling them, here's some things I would like to see, or are you guys doing this? Is this in the roadmap? And when you meet those people from the product team or whoever, that, you build that relationship, and then they've reached out to me and said, we have this coming, or we would like you to test this. We're, be part of a pilot group. So I think just building those relationships is key. And it's always good to hear from other customers or, people within the vendor community that might, have something that's solving your problem you're experiencing. So face-to-face is always preferred. And, again, trust is huge. There's so many vendors out there, and you just want to build that relationship and hear from others that are, using the product as well, or might be using it. And I hope to share at Qualys, kind of why we looked at Qualys and how it's helped us as a global organization too. So I do look forward to seeing a lot of people there in person that will make it. And I think it's great to have the virtual, like you guys were saying earlier. In the past, you had to decide on your budget or who you could send to these conferences or events. And they were saying before, you might have some people that only are interested in one subject or a certain module or something, and it gives them that opportunity virtually as well, which I think is great. And I could see this being the model going forward as well, and allow more team members to be able to attend these things.
So hybrid's here to stay, everybody. Get prepared. Sara and Suresh, thank you so much for joining us on Business Security Weekly.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Sara.
To learn more about Qualys Security Conference or register, please visit securityweekly.com/QSC21. We're going to take a quick break and then cover the leadership and communications articles for this week.